Nature can be both beautiful and terrifying. The same forces that create life can also destroy it. For two men, Michael Benson, trapped in a live volcano, and Ricky McGee, stranded in the Australian outback, nature's fury became an inescapable nightmare. These two stories of survival, against impossible odds, will leave you questioning what it takes to survive when everything goes wrong. Their experiences, horrific, grueling, and life-altering, reveal the true cost of nature's power and the resilience of the human spirit. Trapped in the volcano, Michael Benson's nightmare. It was 1992, and Michael Benson, an experienced cameraman, was about to embark on a dangerous yet exciting job. The filmmakers of Sliver, a psychological thriller starring Sharon Stone, were looking to create a dramatic, unforgettable final shot, a scene that would leave the audience in awe. To achieve this, they decided to film above an active volcano, choosing one of the most volatile volcanoes in the world, Kilauea on the Big Island of Hawaii. Kilauea had been erupting continuously since 1983, sending molten lava pouring into the ocean. It had become a global spectacle, attracting tourists and photographers alike. But to Michael and his crew, Chris Duddy, the technician, and Craig Hosky, the helicopter pilot, this would be a high-risk shoot, filming directly over an active volcano. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but no one anticipated the horrors that awaited them. As they neared the summit of Kilauea, everything seemed to go as planned. The volcanic eruptions created a dramatic backdrop for the film, with lava flowing and thick clouds of smoke rising from the crater. But as they got closer to the mouth of the volcano, things started to feel wrong. The air was thick with sulfur, the wind began to pick up, and the thick smoke that poured from the crater reduced visibility to nearly nothing. Chris, wanting to follow a local tradition, pulled out a bottle of gin and tossed it into the volcano's crater, an offering to Pele, the Hawaiian goddess of the volcano. The bottle, however, didn't land in the lava. It bounced off the edge of the crater and fell into the depths below. Some locals would say that this act of offering rejected by the volcano was an omen. Perhaps it was nature's warning to them. But undeterred, the crew continued their mission, unaware that disaster was waiting just around the corner. As the helicopter neared the volcano, the air turbulence intensified, the winds howled, and the chopper began to shake violently. Suddenly, with a loud and sickening screech, the rotor blades scraped against the jagged rocks on the side of the crater. Metal screeched against stone, and before anyone could react, the helicopter went into a tailspin. Everything went black. When Michael woke up, he was lying on the rocky ground, disoriented and in pain. His body was bruised, his head pounding. Around him, the helicopter had crashed in a twisted pile of broken metal and debris. The sky was thick with smoke, and the ground beneath him was jagged and unstable, covered in sharp volcanic rocks. He could feel the heat from the nearby lava, and the air was thick with the smell of sulfur. Against all odds, the three men had survived the crash, but they were not out of danger. The volcano's lava could erupt again at any moment, and the toxic gases in the air were a constant threat. The crew was stranded in the crater, with no way of calling for help. The helicopter's radio was destroyed, and they had no survival gear. They were alone, trapped in the belly of a living beast. The men quickly realized that their best chance of survival was to get out of the crater. But the journey was far from simple. The walls of the crater were steep, covered in sharp rocks, and surrounded by thick smoke that made it almost impossible to see. Chris and Michael, in better physical shape than Craig, decided to try climbing out of the crater. As they struggled up the walls, the smoke and ash made it difficult to breathe, and they quickly lost sight of each other. The last thing Michael remembered was climbing desperately, inching toward an unseen escape. He never knew what happened to Chris, but the thought of being alone in this hellish environment haunted him. Meanwhile, Craig, back at the wreckage, was attempting to get the helicopter's radio working. But the smoke, storms, and poor visibility made it impossible for him to make contact with anyone. Desperation set in. If they didn't get out of the crater soon, they might not survive. As the day wore on, the conditions grew worse. A storm rolled in, bringing with it torrents of rain, winds, and plummeting temperatures. Michael clung to a small ledge, his body exhausted from climbing and the crash. The wind howled, and the rain pelted him relentlessly. It felt as though nature itself was trying to shake him from his precarious perch. But Michael refused to give in. He thought of his family, his friends, and his life outside the volcano, and he fought to stay awake, to hold on to life. The cold and wet conditions added to the torment. His clothes were soaked, and his body began to shake uncontrollably. As night fell, he felt his grip on reality begin to slip. Exhaustion, pain, and hunger caused him to hallucinate, seeing his loved ones, hearing voices that weren't there. But these visions gave him strength. The goddess of the volcano. Was she urging him to survive? The line between reality and delusion blurred, but Michael wasn't alone in his suffering. Back at the wreckage, Craig continued to search for any sign of life. He too was losing hope, but he knew he couldn't give up. Against all odds, he made one final attempt to reach out for help. On the third day, a rescue helicopter appeared. The pilot, braving the treacherous conditions, began a desperate search for the survivors. With smoke still thick in the air and visibility near zero, it seemed like a hopeless mission. But luck was on their side. Michael, barely conscious, managed to spot the helicopter and, with every last ounce of strength, crawled toward the rescue basket. As he was lifted from the volcano's deadly grip, Michael felt a rush of relief, a relief that was hard to believe was real. Miraculously, Michael had survived, but he never learned the fate of Chris or Craig. Did they make it out? The question haunted him, and he would never know for sure. Stranded in the Outback, Ricky McGee's descent into madness. While Michael Benson fought for his life in a live volcano, another man was facing a different kind of hell, one far removed from fire and smoke, but no less deadly. Ricky McGee, a 35-year-old man from Queensland, Australia, was on a journey of his own in 2006. He was driving across the barren, unforgiving landscape of the Australian outback, headed for a new job in Western Australia. The vast desert stretched endlessly before him, its emptiness a reminder of the dangers lurking in one of the world's most remote places. What was supposed to be a routine drive turned into a nightmare when Ricky's car suddenly broke down in the middle of nowhere. Whether it was mechanical failure, a flat tyre, or some unknown force, Ricky's car came to a stop and his world began to unravel. His version of events would change over time, first claiming he was drugged by a hitchhiker, then saying he was attacked by a group of men who left him for dead in the wilderness. But whatever happened, it left him stranded in the heart of the outback, with no way of contacting the outside world, and no supplies. Ricky woke up alone, disoriented, and without his belongings. His car was gone, and his phone had been taken. He had nothing but the brutal desert landscape around him. The sun beat down relentlessly, the heat oppressive, and the landscape seemed to go on forever. He knew that he had to move. He couldn't stay where he was. For 10 days, Ricky wandered across the outback, searching for any sign of life or civilization. But all he found was desolation. As the days passed, the harshness of the desert began to take its toll. His body grew weaker and weaker from thirst and hunger. The water he found was scarce, and the food was even more limited. Ricky ate whatever he could find, lizards, frogs, even insects, to survive. But it was never enough. The heat, the hunger, and the pain of dehydration were constant companions. Ricky hallucinated, seeing things that weren't there, visions of people, of water, of rescue. But these were just illusions, nothing more than tricks of his mind. Each night, the danger increased. As the sun set and the temperature dropped, the dingoes, wild dogs that roam the outback, began to circle Ricky's makeshift shelters. Their eerie howls echoed through the night, sending chills down his spine. These creatures, always hungry and vicious, saw Ricky as an easy target. Every night, he feared they would tear him apart. Ricky stumbled upon a decaying windmill, which offered him a brief refuge. He used it to create a small shelter out of a rusted cattle trough and fashioned a cross out of sticks, a strange symbol of hope in the middle of nowhere. But the desert, relentless and indifferent, showed him no mercy. The sun continued to scorch the earth by day, and the dingoes circled by night. His body wasted away. His weight dropped dramatically, and his skin burned from the sun. For 71 days, Ricky fought to stay alive. He had no choice. There was no one coming for him. Every step he took was a battle against nature itself. At one point, his mind began to crack under the strain. He thought he heard voices calling to him, telling him to stop, to give up. But Ricky didn't give in. He kept moving. He kept hoping. Then, in early April, salvation arrived in the form of a group of cattle ranchers who had been searching for lost cattle in the desert. They found Ricky, emaciated and barely recognizable as a human being. His body had become a skeletal shell, his skin a patchwork of burns and dirt. He was so weak that he couldn't even stand, but the ranchers rushed him to safety. Ricky had survived, against all odds. The physical and mental toll of his ordeal would haunt him for the rest of his life. But his story of survival remains a testament to the strength of the human will in the face of nature's most cruel challenges. Both Michael and Ricky survived extraordinary circumstances, surviving active volcanoes and the unforgiving desert. Yet their experiences, though different in environment, were united by the same primal struggle for survival. The violence of nature, the isolation, and the unrelenting pressure of time and thirst all became forces to be reckoned with. The resilience required to survive these hellish landscapes is beyond most people's comprehension. These men survived not just because of their skills or luck, but because they refused to give in to fear and despair.